The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Good evening and welcome to my show, Let's Talk Careers with Sara. Tonight, August 15, 10 p.m., I'm going to talk about how you can manage emotions under pressure, how to stay calm and productive in any situation. This show is about how to respond with a level head, even if you're ready to blow a fuse, how to adapt workplace changes, even those that are tough to swallow, how to stick with difficult challenges when solutions don't come easily, how to follow through on plans, turn good intentions into reality, and meet more goals, how to develop the steady self-control it takes to stand up for yourself and deal with conflicts positively, and how to break on-the-job habits that hurt you, like procrastination, disorganization, and others, and how to bring more discipline into your personal life, creating healthier routines and relationships. This show is all about how to improve yourself and your relationships with others at work. All business is people business. Like it or not, your career depends on how people feel about you and whether or not they support you. Yet relationships are fragile. One crossword, bad mood, or mishandled conflict can damage a relationship deeply. Tonight is your chance to develop that steady self-control people respond to and respect. The self-management system taught in this show is simple and proven. It can help you live a happier and less stressful life starting the very next day. And spend a few times in this show with me to find out more about this popular show. Before I move on, I want to ask you if this show is for you. Ask yourself, does my temper get me into trouble? Do I sometimes rub people the wrong way? Come on, be honest when answering that question. What's the price I pay? When was the last time I promised to change a habit and I did? How far could my career go if I eliminated one or two counterproductive behaviors? And how much time and energy do I spend feeling hurt, guilty, inadequate, worried, or anxious? Where has it gotten me? And how much emotional energy do I waste by overreacting? Are any of my bad habits rubbing off on my kids? Are you mad enough about your answers to do something? You can at this groundbreaking show. Now, if you follow with me till the end of the show, you will see a change in you. This is what I'm all about tonight. Know others who would benefit from this show? You have to let them know to listen to it right now with me before I move on. Call them, message them to listen to my show right now on Armed Radio. Now, you can call it self-sabotage. And that's what many otherwise competent people do to themselves every day. And how is it self-sabotage? By overreacting emotionally and hurting their relationships both at work and at home. And by staying stuck in habits that hurt them, such as procrastination, overeating, disorganization, avoiding conflict, and the list goes on and on. Now, which is why this show is developed for this innovative show for managing emotions under pressure. And you'll learn all kinds of powerful psychological systems for changing your negative behaviors permanently. And the system uses some of the most effective tools in modern psychology. And in just one day, they can be yours. Use them in the toughest situation and see amazing results. When you start to lose your temper, you will remain calm and clear-headed. When you're upset and feel the tears well up, you'll stay powerful and effective. When you crave food that is bad for you, you will say no easily and make it stick. When you feel overwhelmed, you will stay productive and positive. Let's face it, achieving what you want in life means doing what it takes. Not just now and then, not just when you feel like it, but every day. And that's why so many people like you have found this show to be so powerful. Now, find out how this exciting night of learning can help you put in control. Now, I want to say that before saying anything, I want to bring attention to the managers and team leaders. When you are restructuring, downsizing, multitasking, there is no escaping change these days. But while upper management is busy stirring things up, your employees are left shaken and unsure. And with so much uncertainty surrounding them, people cannot help getting a little frayed at the edges. And then what happens? Their performance deteriorates. Give your employees a big emotional boost. This powerful show is the perfect antidote to the strain brought on by an unpredictable working climate. Your employees will learn the skills they need to succeed in the face of rapid change, and they will develop the personal resiliency to help them roll with punches and rebound from setbacks fast. And plan to listen to the show yourself. Chances are ongoing changes are taking their toll on you too. Join your staff and recharge your determination to be the kind of positive, productive leader your employees will want to follow. And this motivation program will give you and your staff the skills to keep you focused and effective under pressure. You will see a measurable rise in productivity, a renewed commitment to quality, and an overall improvement in teamwork too. Now, I want to have a favor to ask you. Now let's take a little survey, and it's a real eye-opener. Let's face it, most of us already understand how we should act in certain situations. Cool in a crisis, positive when things go wrong, emotional, consistent with our loved ones, persistent when breaking a bad habit or taking on a new constructive one. Yes. Why is it so hard for us to do what we know is best? It isn't. Now, not if you use the principles you will gain in this show. Think about it. How much do you know about the topics that I'm going to talk right now? And how much of that knowledge do you put to use in your life? So let's find out. Take a pen and a paper, and I will tell you to write from 1 to 10 that measures your knowledge about each subject. Then put an X through the number that measures your actual performance. So 1 is being low and 10 is high. Motivating people. How are you motivating people? Is it 1? Is it 10? Is it in between? Handling crisis. How much are you handling crisis? Is it being low on it, or is it being high on it, or is it being in the middle? Weight control. This is very hard for us, and I know that it's very hard for us. So how much do you control your weight? Is it on a high scale or in a low scale? Time management. You have family, you have kids, you have work, you have deadlines. How much do you manage your time? Is it on high or on low? Also, dealing with stress. Are you 1 or 10? 1 is being low, 10 is high. Or are you in between? And how do you manage conflicts? Are you on the low side or the high side? And the major difference between most people and extremely successful people is the gap between what they know and what they do. Both people are just better at doing what they should be doing. It's that simple. Curious but not convinced? Consider this. In one fast fast-paced night, you will gain an advantage that will continue to pay off for years to come, starting the very next day. If that's not incentive enough, here are the 5 more benefits that you will gain from tonight's show. So, the first benefit will be your managers will admire your initiative. They too will benefit by having an employee who knows how to deal with some of the very same problems they face. The second advantage is you will learn techniques that will last a lifetime. And this show is full of specific ideas you can put to use right away. You will leave eager to try them and confident they will work. Now, the third advantage is you will learn behavior modification skills. People will notice and want to copy themselves. After all, poise and confidence in controlling your emotions are enviable traits. And the fourth advantage is your day will fly by. When learning is fun, time goes fast, and what you hear stays with you. So tonight's show is always a lively and entertaining learning experience. And the fifth advantage is you will have a productive learning night, guaranteed. If for any reason you find that this show is not for you, just let me know on Let's Talk Careers with Sarah on Facebook and see and give me some details about why the show is not for you. And really, you have nothing to lose by listening to my show. And this is a great opportunity for you to further your career skills and shape your personal behavior as never before. But you won't know unless you listen till the end of this show. Now, I have a question to ask you. Are you ready to stay till the end for another 40 minutes? If yes, then I'm going to start. So there are ways to get your unwanted emotions under control. For example, anger, disappointment, and resentment can't be erased, but they can be evaded. Emotions are a vital part of our everyday lives. Whether you are having a good laugh over a text message or feeling frustrated in a rush hour traffic, you know that the highs and lows you experience can significantly affect your well-being. Your ability to regulate those emotions in turn affects how you're perceived by the people around you. If you are laughing at that text during a serious meeting, you are likely to get resentful looks from others in the room. On the other hand, if you react with rage at a driver who cuts you off in traffic, you can engender unwanted attention and perhaps even risk your life. The study of emotions is not an exact science. Psychologists still debate the body-mind connection in emotional reactivity, don't have a complete taxonomy of emotions, and are even uncertain about whether emotions are the cause or result of the way we construe the world. However, there are advances being made in understanding the concept of emotion regulation, the process of influencing the way emotions are felt and expressed. Stanford University psychologist James Gross proposed a 4-stage model to capture the sequence of events that occur when our emotions are stimulated. In what he calls the modal model, a situation grabs our attention, which in turn leads us to appraise or think about the meaning of the situation. Our emotional responses result from the way we appraise our experiences. Some emotional responses require no particular regulation. If the emotion is appropriate to the situation and helps you feel better, there is no need to worry about changing the way you handle things. Laughing when others are laughing is one example of an appropriate reaction that helps you feel better. Expressing road rage may also make you feel better, but it's not appropriate or particularly adaptive. You could express your frustration in other ways that allow you to release those angry feelings, or instead try to find a way to calm yourself down. Calming yourself down when you are frustrated, of course, may be more easily said than done. If you tend to fly off the handle when aggravated and express your outrage to everyone within earshot or on the other end of an email, your emotions could be costing you important relationships, your job, and even your health. An inability to regulate emotions is, according to Gross and his collaborator, Jazayeri, at the root of psychological disorders such as depression and borderline personality disorder, although more research is needed to understand the specific role of emotional regulation in psychopathology. This seems like a promising area of investigation. For example, people with social anxiety disorder can benefit from interventions that help them change the way they appraise social situations. As shown by research on cognitive behavioral therapy, many others functioning at a less than optimal level of psychological health, Gross and Jazayeri maintain, could similarly benefit from education about how better to manage their emotions in daily life. Fortunately, you can handle most of the work involved in regulating your emotions well before the provoking situation even occurs. By preparing yourself ahead of time, you will find that problematic emotions go away before it interferes with your life. So, what do we start with? First, select the situation. Avoid circumstances that trigger unwanted emotions. If you know that you are most likely to get angry when you are in a hurry, and you become angry when others force you to wait, then don't leave things for the last minute. Get out of the house or office 10 minutes before you need to, and you won't be bothered so much by pedestrians, cars, or slow elevators. Similarly, if there is an acquaintance that you find completely annoying, then figure out a way to keep from bumping into that person. Then the next thing is you modify the situation. Perhaps the emotion you are trying to reduce is disappointment. You are always hoping, for example, to serve the perfect meal for the friends and family. But invariably, something goes wrong because you've aimed too high. Modify the situation by finding recipes that are within your range of ability so that you can pull off the meal. You may not be able to construct the ideal souffle, but you manage a pretty good frittata. Then you can also shift your attention focus. Let's say that you constantly feel inferior to the people around you who always look great. You are at the gym and can't help but notice the regulars on the weight machines who manage to lift 3 times as much as you can. Drawn to them like a magnet, you can't help but watch this wonder and envy at what they are able to accomplish. Shifting your focus away from them and onto your fellow gym rats who pack less punch will help you feel more confident about your own abilities. Even better, focus on what you are doing, and in the process you will eventually gain some of the strength you desire. Then you need to change your thoughts. At the core of our deepest emotions are the beliefs that drive them. You feel sad when you believe you have lost something, anger when you decide that an important goal is thwarted, and happy anticipation when you believe something good is coming your way. By changing your thoughts, you may not be able to change the situation, but you can at least change the way you believe the situation is affecting you. In cognitive appraisal, you replace the thoughts that lead to unhappiness with thoughts that lead instead to joy or at least contentment. People with social anxiety disorder may believe that they will make fools of themselves in front of others for their social gaffers. They can be helped to relax by interventions that help them recognize that people don't judge them as harshly as they believe. Then, you can also change your response. If all else fails and you can't avoid, modify, shift your focus or change your thoughts, and that emotion comes pouring out. The final step in emotion regulation is to get control of your response. Your heart may be beating out a steady drum roll of unpleasant sensations. Then, when you are made to be anxious and angry, take deep breath and perhaps close your eyes in order to calm yourself down. Similarly, if you can't stop laughing when everyone else seems serious or sad, gather your inner resources and force yourself at least to change your facial expression, if not your mood. This 5-step approach is one that you can readily adapt to the most characteristic situations that cause you trouble. Knowing your emotional triggers can help you avoid the problems in the first place. Being able to alter your thoughts and reactions will build your confidence in your own ability to cope. With practice, you will be able to turn negatives into positives and each time gain emotional fulfillment. Now, I also believe that your emotions of pressure are all coming because you don't prioritize work when everything is needed to be prioritized. So now, I'm going to get to the bottom of how to prioritize work when everything is number one. All projects, especially large, complex projects, need clear priorities. Easier said than done. You can count on technical projects, no matter how well planned, to involve change orders, reprioritization, and the regular appearance of surprises. It's just the natural order of things. But still, knowing how to prioritize work affects the success of your project, the engagement of your team, and your role as a leader. One of the biggest challenges for project managers and leaders is accurately prioritizing the work that matters on a daily basis. Even if you have the best project management software on the planet, you are the one who enters information into the tool. And you don't want to fall into the role of crying top priority for every other project that comes down the pike. Just as you have to be diligent and have the right kind of project insight to ensure that nobody is working on yesterday's priorities, it takes a lot of practice to get this right. To help you manage your team's workload and hit deadlines, so I'm going to give you now 6 steps to prioritize projects that have lots of moving parts. Number 1, collect a list of all your tasks. Put together everything you could possibly consider getting done in a day. Don't worry about the order or the number of items up front. The next thing, identify urgent versus important. And the next step is to see if you have any tasks that need immediate attention. And I'm talking about work that, if not completed by the end of the day or in the next several hours, will have serious negative consequences. For example, missed client's deadline, missed publication, or release deadlines. Check to see if there are any high pre-dependencies that rely on you finishing up a piece of work now. The third step is assess value. Right? So next, look at your important work and identify what carries the highest value of your business and your organization and your role. As a general practice, you want to recognize exactly which type of tasks have top priority over the others. Now I'm going to give you an example. Focus on your manager's projects before internal work. Setting up the new CEO's computer before reconfiguring the database. Answering support tickets before writing training materials, and so on. Another way to assess value is to look at how many people are impacted by your work. In general, the more people involved or impacted, the higher the stakes. The fourth step is order tasks by estimated effort. If you have tasks that seem to tie for priority standing, check their estimates and start on whichever one you think will take the most effort to complete. Productivity experts suggest the tactic of starting the lengthier task first. But if you feel like you can't focus on your meatier projects before you finish up the shorter task, then go with your gut and do that. It can be motivating to check a small task off the list before diving into deeper waters. The fifth one is be flexible and adaptable. Uncertainty and change is a given. Know that your priorities will change, and often when you least expect them to. And here's the trick: you also want to stay focused on the task you're committed to completing. And the sixth one, I think that's the last step: know when to cut. You probably can get to everything on your list. After you prioritize your tasks and look at your estimates, cut the remaining tasks from your list and focus on the priorities that you know you must and can complete for the day. Then take a deep breath, dive in, and be ready for anything. Now, here's another way of approaching to skillfully juggle multiple tasks at work. Everyone, managers and employees alike, know that feeling when there are a lot of tasks that need our attention for completion. We usually start getting overwhelmed when we try to complete our tasks by priority, and suddenly we realize that everything is important on our plate, but we can't complete all of them due to resource constraints. This problem is quite common and is faced by anyone working in any industry at some point or another. Though it seems very difficult to manage multiple tasks and fulfill responsibilities, it's not something that can be deemed achievable. Project managers are supposed to be skillfully juggle tasks and priorities. They need to learn many helpful tactics that can help them to manage their workload at the workplace and their chores at home as well. So I want to share you tonight at the show that you need to learn the ways to handle your workload and implement a few amazing techniques to your work and everyday life. So let's get to it. Find out what's important. When everything is supposed to be equally important and need to be done, you need to think carefully and decide which ones to start first and how you divide your time. Relax, think, and find out what tasks are really important and need immediate action and what you can put off. Then you reach out to others. One of the major responsibilities of any project manager is to help his resources understand what is important and what is not, and what they should be working on first. But in the end, you are responsible for your own work. No one else is going to tell you that saving your data is more important than having a conversation with your peer. It's your job to understand what is most important. If you have a lot of tasks and you are prioritizing them that involve other people interaction, like your boss, colleagues, talk to them and finalize all the things immediately. Then manage your time. You might have an idea of when your tasks are due, when you will most likely get them completed, and how much time you need to complete each task. It is advised to start working on the tasks that are urgent, considering the effort and time you need to invest in each of your tasks and how much input you actually need from others. Analyze carefully what you should be working on right now and what task you should have already started. Then setting boundaries. Once you have a clear picture of what is really important and settle them on the basis of priorities that you need to deal with first, it's time to set deadlines to get your work done. Set expectations when you will have time to work on your project. It's important in workplace setting, but can also work for your non-work to-dos. Then stay organized. To set your priorities, you need to have a productivity system to which you hold yourself accountable and in which you can actually set your priorities. If you need an accurate system that can build your productivity, try using Task Queue. That offers an amazing set of features and helps you stay organized throughout the day. The goal of Task Queue is to save your time required to deciding what to work on next, even if you have a lot of tasks on your plate. So basically, this is what can help you with your management. It doesn't matter what level of work you are. It doesn't matter of your title and your experience. It's just you need to understand how to handle multiple tasks, and by following the steps you can really see the changes in your problem. So I also want to emphasize that if I am moving along so fast, it's because I am really allotted to talk only for 1 hour. And this goes also when you are going to have an interview and they will ask you about how you handle time management. And time management is an essential skill in any workplace. And while you may think employees or employers are concerned with how you spend your time and how quickly it takes you to complete your task, there is more time management than that. Using your time wisely also means determining what tasks need to be done first, how to avoid distractions, and how to get things done when new priorities pop up. When employers ask you questions in an interview about time management, they're trying to gauge how you manage your resources and if you can be flexible and nimble while still producing a quality work product. So let me give you some tips for answering time management interview questions. Before anything, being prepared with a thorough, detailed answer that is carefully reasoned will impress the prospective manager. Mentioning how you handle different aspects of time management will set you apart from other candidates, especially if you provide specific examples. Let's start with daily prioritization. Employers want to know you can handle your tasks each day without being directly told each step of what needs to be done. They also want to know you can manage to prioritize work appropriately. You can accomplish this in your answer by saying you create a fresh to-do list for yourself at the beginning of each workday, ordered by a deadline and by the level of importance. Since you know that surprises and interruptions can occur, you create 3 must-wins for yourself of tasks that need to be completed by the end of the business day or office hour. You might also explain how you utilize the 80-20 rule to prioritize work tasks. The 80-20 rule states that in any project, 20% of the activities yield 80% of the results. Typically, the first 10% of the final 10% of time spent on a project consume the most resources and are the most labor-intensive. Thus, you might explain how you schedule your time so that you can give your full attention to the most critical stages of any given project, typically the beginning and end rollout. Now, how you can avoid multitasking. Although there are a time when employees who could do many things at once were valued. Now, recent studies show that multitasking is in general vastly overrated. Too often people who try to complete multiple tasks at the same time end up doing sloppy work, losing the time they have saved when they are subsequently forced to correct their errors. A key element of effective time management is the ability to schedule your time so that you can focus on one thing at a time. If you demonstrate with an example or two your ability to efficiently single task challenging work assignments, you will give your interviewer the favorable impression that you are dedicated to providing quality work. Meeting deadlines is important. Deadlines is an important aspect of your work. When a potential employer asks how you handle deadlines, emphasize your understanding of the processes and of the importance of working ahead. For instance, your answer could be that you work backward from the deadline when planning your approach to a project, breaking it into smaller tasks and setting mini deadlines for each task leading up to the project's overall due date. In that way, you are continually making progress each day, and you ensure the project is completed on time. And handling interruptions. Interruptions and distractions are common in the workplace, as I said it before. Your ability to block them out and handle them appropriately is pivotal to your overall performance. Employers are looking for workers who can set firm boundaries, keeping themselves from getting distracted at work by coworkers or fun on websites. Mention strategies you put into place, such as wearing headphones to block out chit-chat, putting blocks on your computer for certain chunks of core work time, and limiting water cooler gossip. And then a work-life balance. For a good employer, making sure employees are balanced and not stressed or burned out is important for company morale and productivity. When employers ask about this, they are not looking for someone to say, "Work is my life," or that they have no hobbies or obligations outside of the workplace. Managers know that is not healthy. Instead, focus your answer on how you give your full effort at work and are completely present while you are on the clock, and that your efficiency allows you to disconnect when you are at home. Time management questions can be tricky, as managers are looking for more information than just how you use your time. Focus your answers on these important factors to demonstrate your effectiveness and productivity. If you need to reach out to me, you can reach me on email, letstalkcareerswithsarah@gmail.com, or you can go on Facebook, find me there, Let's Talk Careers with Sarah, or you can join my group, Let's Talk Careers Inner Circle. I'm here to guide you, to help you with any tasks, with any questions, with any obstacles that you feel challenging in your career. You can reach out to me. So far, you learned tonight how to cope, handle, and work through high-stress situations so that you come out on top of every time. Now, I want to discuss about how you can discover the critical keys to making sound decisions even under intense pressure. So, decision making under pressure is really a skill. And when an important decision must be made in a high pressure situation, it is natural to worry about making a bad or wrong decision. Most people refer to have sufficient time to analyze the situation and consider the alternatives. In a high-pressure situation, however, time is often a luxury they cannot afford. In the workplace, people are often expected to make good decisions in a very short space of time. Some of the best decisions, however, are made under pressure. Pressure can result in focused attention and the use of unconscious reasoning. It can force a decision maker to sort the relevant factors from the irrelevant and can result in clear thinking with unambiguous priorities. There are several practices which can serve decision makers under pressure well. What you need to know when put under pressure For example, me, I tend to become overwhelmed by the risk of making the wrong decision. And how can I overcome this? Many people react to a pressure situation by running through all the potential disaster scenarios in a bad decision, if a bad decision is made. This will cloud your thinking and adds yet more pressure to your decision making. Try to overcome this response by focusing on the relevant information and putting the rest aside. Tell yourself you can mull it over later, but for now, you must prioritize and focus on the key factors. How can I avoid having to make hasty decisions under pressure? Most people prefer to make decisions after a period of unpressured analysis. If your job might require you to make decisions under pressure, take an offensive approach. Look ahead and consider various potential eventualities, the decisions you might make, and their likely outcomes. By doing this, even if you do not encounter the exact situation, you will have already thought through a number of different scenarios, and your thinking will be faster, clearer, and more readily accessible whatever decision is required. Should I rely on my gut instinct when making decisions under pressure? There are times when instincts can serve you very well. This is especially true if you have a long track record of dealing with similar situations. It is always important to balance instinct by considering any extenuating circumstances. However, be sure to remain open to any new information before impulsively following your instincts. I am often asked to make fast decisions that meet the agendas of others. How can I think through their motivations and arrive in the right conclusions when under pressure? If you do not see the urgency to make the decision, jockey for more time and explore the situation more fully. In these instances, open communication is very important, especially if the decision has an impact on others. You do not want to be in a position of accounting for a decision you made and having to admit that you were pressured into it by someone else. What to do build your decision-making competence. While some people are naturally better decision makers than others, decision making is a skill that can be learned and improved. There are many tools that help the decision making process. They range from decision trees to help identify the pros and cons of different solutions to a force field analysis in which the pressures for and against change are highlighted and weighted. These techniques are most useful when tempered by experience and moderated by a feeling of what will work and what will not. When under pressure to make a decision, however, the luxury of time to use these techniques does not typically exist. Instead, the situation may require being reactive and drawing upon intuition. Some people who appear to have good instincts for what needs to be done are probably drawing from extensive experience with specific knowledge of what has worked in the past and what has not. People who lack this background will benefit from virtually going through potential decisions before they are required. In this way, responses to different situations can be rehearsed in a more leisurely fashion, making it easier to determine the best course of action should the situation ever arise. So, I want to give you some checklist for risk analysis. So, risk analysis is a valuable activity that can improve decision making. Is to undertake a risk analysis of potential threats or issues before the need of any reactive decision arises. This process not only yields the benefit of being better prepared to respond to the analyzed threats, it may also help to identify ways in which some threats can be reduced or eliminated. So the checklist starts with this: speculate on the potential threats facing your situation. This may include financial, technical, operational, or human threats. Ask what if until all possible scenarios are exhausted. Then measure the likelihood of each risk occurring. Think about the combination of the probability of its occurrence and the cost of its effect. By doing this, you can determine the worst case scenario. Beginning with the most critical risk of threat, consider the different ways it could be addressed. Going through this exercise before the risk occurs may enable you to eliminate the risk altogether, or devise a contingency plan that will mitigate the risk. Repeat this process for each of the most serious threats, and then make contact with others who play a key role in the elimination or contingency plan for a particular risk. Inform them of any actions required of them to manage the situation effectively. If everyone is warned, informed of their role, and kept briefed about the probability of a serious threat occurring, they will be able to mobilize more swiftly when necessary. So, what happens when you don't ask for help? When under pressure to make a good decision, avoid allowing your pride to get in the way of asking for help. A more experienced colleague may be able to lend a valuable perspective. Ask him or her to talk you through the rationale for their recommendations. This will help you to learn the ropes, gaining valuable experience that you will be able to tap in future decision-making scenarios. Now, I want to also emphasize something, that if you feel that you are still pressured and you are not good under pressure and these tips don't help you, then think about changing your position, changing your career, changing your department, because probably you meant not to be in this role, because the role that you were hired, you need to handle yourself under pressure. Find out also, perhaps they are asking too much of you and what you can do about it. So think about your colleagues who have the same role as you. Are they getting the same responsibilities? Are they getting the same deadlines? Perhaps they are overloading you with so much work. If your colleague is on vacation and they burden you with his responsibilities as well, then you have an option. Either discuss it with your employer about how this task can be perhaps postponed, or giving you a little lesser of responsibilities and deadlines, or you can delegate them. For me, I would just ask my employer and say, listen, this is too much, I will do my best. It's not my job to do a double work, but to make it a big favor, I can do my best, not promising anything. So this can give you a little bit of leniency of not to do 100% of work, but you can do perhaps 30% of work. This is how I look at it. And if you feel that your colleagues are getting more than you do, getting more responsibilities and deadlines than you do, then you should really start working on it and really watch maybe some YouTube videos on how people manage their stress at work, how they manage pressure, how they can manage their emotions, what they do best. And really, there are people who are managing their pressure at work. I found an article in Forbes.com that is called How Successful People Stay Calm, and the tip that they give is just they appreciate what they have and they avoid asking what if. They stay positive, they disconnect from technology and other people that are negative, they limit their caffeine intake, they sleep, they squash negative self-talk, they reframe their perspective, and they breathe, of course, and they use their support system. It's tempting. Entirely is ineffective to attempt tackling everything by yourself. To be calm and productive, you need to recognize your weaknesses and ask for help when you need it. This means tapping into your support system when a situation is challenging enough for you to feel overwhelmed. Everyone has someone to work at work and or outside work who is on their team, rooting for them and ready to help them get the best from a difficult situation. Identify these individuals in your life and make an effort to seek their insight and assistance when you need it. Something as simple as talking about your worries will provide an outlet for your anxiety and stress and supply you with a new perspective on the situation. Most of the time, other people can see a solution that you can't because they are not as emotionally invested in the situation. Asking for help will mitigate your stress and strengthen your relationships with those you rely upon. And this is something that you should know. You are not alone. You have a support system. You have your colleagues, you have your managers, you have your another department that can help you. You're not alone in this. So far, I have discussed about critical keys to making sound decisions even under intense pressure. How to deal with a perfectionist working in your office, maybe right behind your desk, and how to change that. This is if you have somebody who wants you to do it in a certain way that is so perfect and cannot see it in any other way. You can just either say, look for somebody else to do the work, or this is how I do it. The bottom line is the work is done. No matter how it is done, but it is done. And we learned tonight some unique time management techniques. And if you feel you're still stressing out with the time management, you can have this show recorded. And it's going to be posted on Facebook, Let's Talk Careers with Sarah, by tomorrow morning. And we also learned tonight how you can find out if they're asking too much of you and what you can do about it, right? Delegation. And how can you use stress management strategies of coping on and offer the job. Now, I want to tell you this. You don't have to be a victim of day-to-day job stressors anymore. When you listen to my show every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, you will be powered by it. The shows are so powerful, life-changing sessions. You have more control of your emotions, and you can be more successful, and most importantly, you have less stress. You are doing your job. You are learning to be more effective worker than being a non-effective worker. And when you do all of these tips, all of this advice, all of these techniques, your colleagues will want to be just like you. And your manager, your employer will see that you will get promoted because you are the one who is doing the right thing. You know how to manage your stress. You know how to control your emotions under pressure. And type of people like that who don't know how to do it, they don't get promoted. They don't get ahead in life. So feel the need to listen to my shows and get better at what you do in order for you to get promoted and get the raise that you want. I am running out of time, so that will be another topic we'll discuss in my show perhaps next Wednesday. And I would like to say thank you for those who are listening to me. Thank you so much for doing your homework, by listening to experts like me about jobs, about resumes, and about how to be happy in a work environment. So I really want to say thank you again. So I'm going to see you next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Armed Radio. Let's Talk Careers with Sarah. You are tuning in on Armed Radio and Let's Talk Careers with Sara every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I talk about careers and job hunting. If you would like to ask a question or would like to hear about previous shows that you have missed, you can find me on Facebook at Let's Talk Careers with Sara. You can learn about jobs, tips, and advice on my page. If you have a career-related question, you can just message me on Facebook.